Hey everybody, welcome to Cinema Trip Reviews. Today on the show, we're going to be ranking the Halloween franchise from worst to best. Welcome back to Cinema Trip Reviews, everybody. I am Wyatt, and once again, Alex, thank you for joining me in this great month of October for all these spooky reviews.
Yeah.
Today on the show, though, we're not going to be doing a review per se. It's going to be a whole different kind of video I haven't done yet on the channel. We're going to be ranking all the Halloween movies from worst to best, to the dead trash movie out of all of them, all the way to the pinnacle, the very best one, which we all might have an idea what the very best one will be. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll get
That's
there.
part of the fun.
I
Uh,
do wanna say before
yeah,
we start, I actually think Halloween as a whole is a fairly decent franchise. I think there's more good movies than there are bad, for me, personally. I think
I
it's a pretty good
agree.
franchise. Yeah.
I agree. The Halloween franchise, I know a lot of people give it some shit because of some of the sequels. But it has always been my favorite horror franchise out of them all, ever since I was a kid going to the video store and renting them. Some of the first Halloween movies I saw was like Halloween 6, Curse of Michael Myers, and H2O, because that's what the ones they had in stock at the whatever video
Yeah.
store we were going to. But I've always had just a huge love for this franchise as a whole, and it's always been one of my favorites over Friday 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. I still love those, but nothing compares to Halloween in my eyes.
Yeah. I'm with you. I am ready.
All right, before we get into everything, everybody make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and go follow us on Twitter at Cinema Trip Views, and also go check us out wherever you get your podcasts. We're available pretty much everywhere. And also, brand spanking new announcement, partnered up with Fangoria. Let's go to fangoria.com/cinematripreviews and use Cinema Trip Reviews as your code when you're checking out, and you get 20% off your whole order. So that's a pretty good deal. Go to fangoria.com/cinematripreviews.
Awesome.
So, right into the program, we are going to start off because there's 13 Halloween movies. It's crazy that we've come this far. Out of all these, since 1978, we've had 13 Halloween movies.
Seems like a perfect number.
Yeah, I mean, we still technically only have like 13 Friday the 13th or 12 Friday the 13th or
Yeah,
something
they
like
need one
that.
more. They
Yeah,
need
I
one
think
more.
they need one more, but they've been in that lawsuit for all these years.
Yeah.
I am planning on making that video eventually, so we'll see when we get to that one. So to kick off this video, we'll start with you since you're the guest, Alex. What is the worst Halloween out of all of them, in your opinion? Number 13.
And it might be just because it's new, but it's Halloween Ends for me, man. And I
Oh,
know we just had this
oh.
big conversation about it, so we don't gotta get too much into it.
Yeah, if
But
anybody hasn't seen it, go check out our review for Halloween Ends. We talk all about it. We break everything down.
it just feels, and there's another movie where I have the same criticism, but in a different way, and we'll talk about that when the time comes. But there is no Michael Myers in it. It's barely has room to call itself a Halloween film, and it
Yeah.
just feels so disjointed from this trilogy that they planned. Like it just feels like it's a whole new horror movie. Not that it's a bad film, it's a bad Halloween film to me.
I can agree with that.
So, and it might just be my new. It might maybe fourth, fifth watch. I'll move it. But I'm telling you, I've seen it 3 times now.
Oh, you watched it 3 times? So
I've watched it
you've
3
watched two
times
more
'cause
times since we did the review.
I did. I watched it with you the first time, and I was like, maybe I was just too harsh. I hated it the second time, and the third time, I fell asleep halfway through. I
Oh,
was
man.
passed out. Did not like it. I don't know what I'm missing other than it being shot well and stuff. I don't know what I'm missing about it. I don't like it.
Yeah, I have watched it again since we've done the review. My opinion on it hasn't really changed much. I still really like that first half, to be honest. I liked the new ideas that they put into it. I liked where they were going. It just turned into a huge mess towards the end,
Hmm.
especially that ending. I hated the end. That third act of the movie was terrible. But yeah, like I just said, like we mentioned, we have a whole review on that. It's over an hour long. You can check out all of our thoughts on Halloween
Yeah.
Ends because there's a lot of them. Because that movie is a mess, and I totally understand why it's your dead last on your Halloween rankings here. There is parts that I like. I like about like the relationship between like Corey and Allison. I didn't like how Jamie Lee Curtis was kind of put to the back burner, and there's news that David Gordon Green had an interview where he said that it never even occurred to him to make the movie about Laurie and Michael. And I was just
What?
Wow. What? He said that he wanted to go out and make this type of movie for like to finish it off. But the studio apparently is the one that went out and made the marketing, everything about like the final fight, Laurie and Mike, and they like contradicted everything he was trying to do. So it's like it was doomed from the get go, pretty much. And I mean, it's like, why? If you're ending the trilogy, why would you do that? Like, just
Yeah.
you could have did that way earlier, started the trilogy like that. Who knows? But
It
I
just
don't
felt
know.
like a lot of build up to not get there. And for
Yeah.
what you were saying about like Lori not being in it and stuff, there's no reason for her to not be in this. In other
Oh
movies,
yeah.
she's not in it, but there's reasons for her not to be a big part
Exactly.
of it. There's no reason. Like she's still there. She's
You have
healthy. She's fine.
every reason to have her
Yeah.
in this whole movie
Yeah.
based off of Halloween 2018 and then Kills.
Move on, or I'll talk another hour about it because I
Yeah,
like.
let's go check out that review we did this past week. Okay, my number 13, my least favorite Halloween movie is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
All right.
As anybody that may have watched the show, I hate this movie. I remember going to see this movie like opening weekend with you and Vernon, and I forget who else. Like I forget who else came with us, but I walked out of I was so excited going into the movie. I was like, yes, I cannot wait. And I just remember walking out so disappointed and so pissed off at this dude for making this movie.
It is one of the first times I ever remember walking out of a movie theater disappointed, just like,
It is. It's definitely
like,
one of the first times
oh,
that I've ever walked out that disappointed. And it didn't happen again, I don't think, until like Batman versus Superman. When I walked out just like,
yeah.
ugh, I don't know how to feel about this. But yeah, Rob Zombie, like we'll get to the first one eventually because that's of course in the Halloween franchise. But man, the reason why I hate Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is because I feel like he just didn't respect the characters in any sort of way. He just did whatever he had to do to ruin them. I feel like he turned Dr. Loomis into an asshole that was just trying to sell his book and profit off of the deaths of these people. He just kind of flipped everything on its head from that first movie, and then you make like Laurie. Like I understand some of the trauma she went through, but then she has like pictures of like Charles Manson and other murders, and are like, I don't think a
Yeah.
girl that went through everything, like almost being murdered and had her friends murdered, would kind of idolize,
Yeah.
like Charles Manson and everything else. It just seemed like a lot of just bullshit, like just a typical Rob Zombie bullshit that was thrown in there. Not a lot of it made sense. He had Michael talk at the end. He had
Yeah,
his face,
grunts.
his no mask for a majority of the movie. It was just a mess, and it was just the basic what you would see out of Rob Zombie's movies nowadays, where it's just trash. You just feel like you're just watching trash at that point. There's just no substance to it.
I would say that my only defense to it is I feel like if you're a Rob Zombie fan, which I'm not either, this
Yeah.
movie doesn't go much higher for me. If you're a Rob Zombie fan, it is not a good Rob Zombie film. He did it better, but like he had a vision. He moved his vision. I don't feel like it's so disjointed from the first one because again, we'll get into that, but like I do feel like they make sense. But I'm with you. I think it's a trash movie. I think it repeats too many ideas.
Mhm.
I think the ending that it has is an exact same ending of another Halloween film, but the other Halloween film did it way better, where it's this passing the torch there, the new killer.
Yeah.
I thought that was terrible. The whole Laurie trauma, again, they've done it a few times in this franchise
Mhm.
better. So I'm with you. I think that's a terrible film too.
Yeah, I hated having like the ghost of the mom with like the
Oh,
white horse throughout the whole thing. Why is
he
Laurie
just
having
had
visions? Why is
he
Laurie
had
having
this
visions of a kid Michael and her mom that she never knew? Like it doesn't make any sense.
because he had to get his wife in there.
Yeah, the only
That's
characters
it.
I like in this movie was like Sheriff Brackett, played by the dude that plays Chucky. What's his name?
Brad Dourif.
Brad Dourif. He did an
Yeah.
amazing job in that. He was a great part, and the only redeeming scene I would say is probably like the first 10 minutes when it's in that hospital when he's good.
Yeah.
Like that's probably the only part I would watch if I watched it again. But this is a movie I don't rewatch out of the Halloween franchise. This is one I try to stay away from as much as I can.
Yeah, I don't rewatch it either. I'm with you. I don't think there's too many redeeming qualities. I do, and in both Rob Zombie films, I do like the absolute brutality that
Yeah,
this film carries over. I do
I can
like
agree
that.
with that. Yeah,
And me personally, and we'll get into this more in some of my later picks, I like a supernatural Michael. I like a Michael that's just unhinged. So I
yeah.
don't mind he's flipping cars and stuff. I don't mind that in this either. Like it's ridiculous, but I'm like, all right, whatever. That's fine for me.
Yeah,
So that it is a bad movie though.
yeah. It's terrible. But moving on here, number 12. What's your number 12 here, Alex?
Halloween 2, Rob Zombie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, it didn't make it much further
Didn't
up.
make that much farther. Okay. So we'll go to my number 12 then, which is Halloween Resurrection. This was
Uh-huh.
the 8th film in the franchise. Came out in 2002 and was pretty much the death of the franchise at that point, like that continuity of it. They decided to bring Jamie Lee Curtis back for some reason, even though she was supposed to be done with Halloween H2O. They had an ending, but they found a way to kind of retcon that and have
Yeah.
like the paramedic that Michael crushed his like larynx and like
Terrible.
put his mask on him and
Terrible.
everything. And then you have, of course, Busta Rhymes setting up like the TV show, the reality TV show in the Myers house and setting up all these people. But little do you know, Michael Myers is in the house and he's going around killing these kids. And it's like a found footage type of movie. Does not
It's very
work.
2000s.
Very 2000s.
2010s.
Very 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work in any way. If you're gonna watch it, it's mainly just to laugh at it at that point. It's so bad that and that's why I have it like it's not dead last, is because I can at least put this movie on and laugh at it. It's entertaining to watch because of how bad it is. Whereas like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, there's nothing redeeming about this
funny.
movie. You can't laugh at it. It's just a bad movie.
Yeah. It's annoying too, but that's beyond that. But I'm with you. I think Resurrection is the only redeeming quality is that it's so bad it's good kind of movie. You're
Yeah.
like, how did this shit come up? Like, what is this right now?
Yeah, the audacity to bring her back just to kill her off, Jamie Lee
Which-
Curtis off in like the first 10 minutes.
Which ruins a great ending that you already had from a previous film. Like, just
Exactly.
fucking ruin that ending. Like, ugh,
Exactly. You should have just
man.
rebooted it or something at that time. But
terrible
yeah,
casting.
the whole rest of the movie is just new characters you don't give a shit about, and they're terrible people pretty much. It's just like a typical slasher at that point.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you a single person's name in that movie other than Busta Rhymes, who is just Busta Rhymes to me. Busta
Well, I know like
Rhymes and
Tay
Tara
Diggs is in it.
Banks. Yeah.
Tyra Banks is in it for like her death got cut out of it.
Oh yeah, the on-screen death, but you see her body later.
Yeah,
right?
you see her body
Yeah.
later. Yeah, but her death is cut. The one dude from American Pie is in it, and that's about it. Like I can't really say who else is in it. But overall, it's a bad movie though.
It's got the best line, "Trick or treat, motherfucker." Though
It has
Like,
a
come
great.
on.
Everybody
That's
remembers
a
that line,
great
and we
line.
still use it to this day. So I mean,
Yeah.
I guess if you're gonna get something out of Halloween Resurrection, it's that line
It's
given
the
to us
trick or
by
treat,
none other than
motherfucker.
Busta Rhymes.
And I might be giving something away, but we had one time a discussion about making a Michael Myers video game, just like
I
just
remember this.
bullshitting. Yeah,
Yes.
and this movie was a heavy based on like how we were gonna do it with like the footage and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I don't
and-
know if it was just fresh in our minds.
And that's
or
the
what.
thing. I feel like if you came up with a better story and utilized it and like actually thought about it, there's a couple cool ideas within Resurrection you could use. But
Yeah.
man, the execution was just terrible.
I gotta appreciate they fake all this child abuse and he was like this caged
Yeah.
animal thing. I like that they had the know-how to be like, no, don't really do that, like
yeah.
let him still just be a psycho killer. Like, so I'll props him up because some other movies don't.
And
so.
props for using like a replica of your actual original Myers house, because the Myers
Yeah.
house changes in damn near every single movie after the first one.
Exactly.
So it's like it was cool to see them actually reuse that a little bit. But then you had like Michael living in the sewers beneath the house when he had an empty house he could have
Yeah.
lived in, but he was staying beneath in these sewers that were connected to the house somehow. I don't know.
It's like I don't want to live in there. Too many
Yeah.
memories.
Bad memories. So number 11 for you, man. What do you have?
Oh, my turn. This might be a controversial one. I'm sorry.
Oh, I like
It is Revenge of Michael Myers for
number
me.
5.
Number
Halloween
5. Yeah.
Okay.
It is the most forgettable film to me. It's not so bad it's good for me. It's
I agree.
just super mid and forgettable. And again, we just talked about it with Resurrection. It ruins another great ending with the we'll get there, but it ruins another great ending when you come up to this. You're like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Halloween 5, it came out in 1989. Of course, this is like the direct continuation from Halloween 4
Yeah.
with Danielle Harris. It opens up with like directly after the ending of 4, and like
Yeah.
Michael's like living with that hobo for like a year. He's just
Yeah.
kind of sitting there. But yeah, I agree. I feel like my opinion on this movie has definitely went down over the years. I used to really enjoy this one because this was 4 and 5, and I believe Halloween 2 was always shown on AMC Fear Fest every year. So that's really what got me into the love for the franchise. And I would constantly watch 4 and 5, like all the time back in the day. But
Yeah,
man, rewatching 4 and 5 as of like a week or two ago, 5 is real bad.
it's
Like
bad.
it's
It's
not
forgettable.
it's very forgettable. Some of the characters are just annoying, like Tina. She's
Mm,
annoying as hell. And they have a weird like psychic connection between Jamie and Michael in this one that wasn't there in 4,
yeah.
and they
Well,
don't do much with it really. I mean, it's
yeah.
there, but it doesn't really serve a purpose other than like trying to locate Michael, but then you find him because there's bodies piling up anyway. But
How they find him in every movie. He'll find you. But
exactly, he'll find you. You
yeah.
don't have to go finding him.
Yeah, this one
But
just
yeah,
does the cardinal sin for me of just being forgettable. I
yeah.
have by far out of all the Halloween movies seen this one the very least. I know
Oh,
you
okay.
said you've seen it a bunch.
Yeah.
It's a one if I see on TV, I'm not watching it. I don't care about it.
You don't have
Then
like
I'm
a
good.
highlight from the movie at all?
I mean, is this is the one where he gets down the well and they throw all the dynamite and shit down it? Is this one?
That was at the end of 4.
Oh, never mind then.
That was
Then
at the end
no.
of 4.
See, I'm remembering four then.
Well, that's the thing. They switch it up well, technically it is 5 because at the end of 4, well, because everybody knows that they're watching this. At the end of 4, they just
Yeah.
blast the shit out of him, the cops, and he falls down the well. They
And
don't
then
throw the
this one.
dynamite into it until the beginning of
This
this
one.
one. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, we forgot to mention at the end of
Keep
the last
going.
one. They throw dynamite in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're correct though.
All right, I think that's maybe my favorite part of the whole film.
I would probably say my favorite is probably whenever he's chasing Jamie throughout the house, and she has that scene where she goes down through like the laundry chute, and he's
Yeah.
like trying to go up through, and she's trying to climb up, and he's like reaching up, trying to slash at her ankles and stuff.
Mm.
But it has a lot of bad shit in it. You have the introduction of the Man in Black. That's part of like
Uh,
the Thorn trilogy.
which we're getting to, yeah, but
And,
yeah,
and of course at the end where like Loomis beats his ass with like the 2x4.
2x4, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they have Michael sitting in a jail cell at the very end, twiddling his thumbs with his mask still on. Like they didn't even
Yeah.
take his mask off when they booked him. He's just sitting in a cell, twiddling his thumbs, and then he gets broke out. They break him out. The Man in Black breaks him out at the end. But yeah, very forgettable movie. The characters are very annoying, especially like Tina and her friends that you see through a lot of the movie.
Mhm.
And they have the audacity to kill one of the best characters from 4 within like the first 20 minutes of this movie,
Yeah.
which was Rachel, which was
Probably
Jamie's
the best
sister.
character from 4. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
kill her off damn near immediately, which man, they should have just made it about her and Jamie again throughout the whole thing. But I
And
completely
Jamie's
agree with you.
cool. They ruined Jamie's character too with the psychic stuff. I'm with you. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
They do
It's
away with her being a killer, like at the end
Yeah.
of 4, which was the
which was a cool ending.
yeah.
Done
So
better than the Rob zombie ending. I know we'll get there, but done better. Same idea.
I feel like they were just like, where do we go from here? All right, fuck it. We'll just start anew, kind of. We'll just use some concept from 4. We'll make her psychic with Michael. She can tell where he is or if he's killing people, and then we'll go from there. And we'll have her
Ah.
not speak much throughout the movie. She can't
Oh
talk.
yeah, she's mute. She's mute in this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for weird, strangely enough. Fine.
Yeah. My opinion on 5 has really decreased over the years, and I completely agree with you.
All right, what is your 11?
Rob Zombie's Halloween, 2007. I have the first Rob Zombie Halloween here.
All
Pretty
right.
low on my list. I never was a fan of the whole we got to figure out why Michael is the way he is type thing. So pretty much that negates the first half of the movie with him being a kid. And I didn't mind him being locked up in Smith's Grove Sanitarium. That part I didn't really mind as much. More so with him at his house, the white trash shit
Yeah.
that Rob Zombie's known for. I just wasn't a big fan of that at all.
Literally, my first note is first third of the movie is trash. That's
Yeah,
my
first
first
third of
note
the
on this
movie.
movie.
But then
Trash.
again, at the second half of the movie is pretty much a direct, almost remake of the original Halloween. Whereas, like, if I wanted to see this, I can just go watch Halloween at that point. It's not really
Yeah.
different, other than the very end where it
Brutal,
has, like Michael chasing Laurie throughout the house. He like crushes Loomis's head, but he's still alive in the next one, and then like he tackles her out the window and she shoots him in the face. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. To be honest, I really liked it when it came out because I remember seeing it in theaters, and a couple years after I really enjoyed it. But like Halloween 5, it's just one of those ones that pretty much decreases with each watch at that
Yeah.
point.
Again, I have that note. I think on my first viewing, I liked it. Time has done nothing but hurt this movie for
Yeah.
me. Again, it is a very Rob Zombie movie. If you enjoy that kind of brand,
Yeah.
I think you'll like it. It's not for me. It's loud. It's fucking loud.
Yeah,
Like,
like the whole last half is like just screaming.
oh, the first and last half, I feel like, are
For
just
different
like,
kinds of screaming
yeah, but
too.
just so it's so loud. And like, and I know that's such a weird criticism, but I remember watching it with Marissa actually just a few years ago, and even she was like, "What is like? Holy shit, I have a headache. Like
Yeah,
this is so much right
it's like
now."
sensory overload.
It is so. But again, I appreciate his vision in this one. What else I have written here? Oh, I do love. I have a standout scene in this one.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite scenes in any Halloween film.
Oh,
I
okay.
love. Well, that's maybe too high, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I love when she's up in the like the ceiling and he's got that beam and he's smashing the top of the
Yeah,
thing.
trying to get her to come
Yeah,
down.
I think that whole like the whole brutality of it's very cool for me. Like the whole movie's cool. The brutality of this movie's cool.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's the thing the only real parts I've kind of liked about Rob Zombie's take was the brutality and how Michael was so vicious and savage in
Vicious,
these movies.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
They gave him no redeemable factors. I love when he kills the doctor as soon as he escapes, and he's like, "Hey, Michael, we were cool," and he's like,
yeah,
"Nah, no,
like
fuck
Danny
you."
Trejo's
Yeah,
character. Yeah,
he's like, "Nah, fuck you, man."
I liked the design. I liked the mask of Michael. Like in that
Yeah,
one, it was kind of like stitched up and old. It was. I liked how they did a different version of it with like the 2018 one, but I liked how this one was all stitched up, and I liked how they had Tyler Mane as Michael, where he was like a 7 foot hulking
huge.
fucking
Yeah,
monster in this one,
yeah.
which was pretty cool. But yeah, he's brutal as hell. If I had to pick like a standout, maybe like the scene with Linda and her boyfriend in the house, like with the he has the sheet with the glasses. I know it's kind of a similar thing, but he
Yeah,
does it has a different feel when he kills the boyfriend. I remember, if I remember correctly, he like walks down the hallway and you pass Michael. He's just kind of standing in the background and has like a cool
mhm.
little like musical like string that comes
Sting.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah, that comes up there. But it's okay.
yeah,
It's not as good as these other ones I have above it, but
yeah.
it's okay. And I haven't mentioned this on any other videos. If you're not a fan of the Rob Zombie's Halloween, I recommend going and watch Cole Edits on YouTube. It's a YouTube page called Cole Edits, and he re-edited Rob Zombie's Halloween, cut out the whole first quarter,
Which can
pretty
go.
much
Yeah,
everything with the childhood he cut out, and he kind of re-edited and rearranged some things, and he replaced the score with the Halloween 2018 score, and it's fucking great, and
yeah.
he pretty much redoes Rob Zombie's Halloween, and it makes it a really good movie, and he even kind of incorporates the beginning of two kind of towards the end of it as well to kind of make it a little bit one cohesive movie, and I actually like that way better than
The
Rob
original
Zombie's
cut.
one or two standalone. So if I will
Yeah.
recommend that over the originals.
I have actually seen that. You told me that about that a few years ago, which I do. I do. I'm with you. I recommend it too. If I do remember though, and I know most people don't like this, I think they cut out a lot of the Loomis stuff, and I kind of like the Loomis stuff in the first one. I like when they're in the hospital and he's trying to get to know him and stuff like that.
Yeah, see,
Um,
I like that kind of stuff, but
yeah,
I
the
just didn't like the
childhood
at
shit. Yeah,
home. Yeah,
yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. That's too
killing rats
redneck,
and
hillbilly shit. The dad screaming and
take that
fuck.
fucking mask off.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But all right, that's
Michelle, my belle.
no, the
Uh,
dad's fucking annoying.
yeah, dude, he's such a dick. I
All right,
think
so
it
what
was
are
like
we on?
William
10?
Forsythe. He's a great actor. Because he's in
Yeah.
like Devil's Rejects and shit. But
Oh, see,
he's an asshole in everything he's in.
and this is a different video for a different time, but I cannot tell you one Rob Zombie movie I like. Not a single fucking one.
I really and I like is a strong word,
Yeah.
but I don't mind watching like House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's
That's
Rejects. I would say
Devil's
those are
Rejects.
definitely the best two movies that he's
Devil's Rejects is fine for me. House of Thousand Corpses is a music video, but
it's wild. But yeah, that's
we're
a whole nother review.
whole other review. All right, where are we on? 10?
Yeah, we're at number 10.
Yep. You want me to go?
Yep.
We already talked about it, but my number 10 is actually Resurrection.
Oh, okay. Resurrection.
So bad it's kind of good. And also I know we already talked about it. It's one of the first Michael Myers movies that I not super remember, but I kind of remember going to theaters and seeing it and shit like that. So,
Yeah.
because I was a little older by the time it
I always
came out.
hated the Masked Resurrection. It looks like they like gave him a
Oh yeah,
makeover. Like he has like it looks like he has Botox in his cheeks, and it looks like his eyebrows just got done. Like they're
we
super dark.
we should do that list next on the worst ranking Halloween masks because that's a whole
Oh
like a
yeah,
whole nother
for
thing in
real,
itself.
for
Yeah,
real.
because I got some opinions on that too.
My number 10 we already talked about as well. I had Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
All right, so we
So
just
we kind of had similar movies there in our
yeah.
bottom four, bottom five. What do you have at number 9?
I have Curse of Michael Myers is number
Number
9. Number
6,
6,
Halloween
yeah.
6. Okay.
And
That one
now
came
and
out in 1995, starring one of the
Paul
first
Rudd.
roles of Paul Rudd next to Clueless.
Yeah, it came right after Clueless.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this was. I should have did more research. I'm not sure if this was like a next generation, like Texas Chainsaw type thing with Matthew McConaughey. I think they put this one out before Paul Rudd was like well known. Whereas like Texas Chainsaw, they held on to the movie until Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger
Oh,
were famous, and they're like, all right, we're gonna put this
now
out
release
now.
it. Yeah.
I think they just put this one out there in the world
Yeah.
with Paul
I mean,
Rudd in it.
I know Clueless was out before it, but
Yeah,
I don't know if he quite hit
he
stardom
wasn't
at
a
that
huge
point.
star at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
I actually
Uh,
enjoy Halloween 6 though. I don't. What's your opinion on it?
uh, it's a mess, and I don't care if it's the producer's cut or the regular cut. Like,
Yeah,
it's so half baked. It takes Michael in a weird direction. I don't like the weird direction it takes it.
yeah. This is where you get all of the. You got the hints of the Thorn trilogy through
Yeah.
4 and 5. You're getting everything with the Thorn trilogy in this movie. All the explanation, if you want to say that what that is, but
And
you're getting it all bombarded on you in this whole movie.
I'm not even like, I don't even super care about the cult stuff. That's all cool with me. I'm cool with Michael being this like translucent boogeyman, but then they like wanted him to sleep with his like niece and shit. And I'm like,
Yeah,
whoa,
that wasn't like the
whoa,
producer's
whoa,
cut.
whoa.
Yeah.
I have a hard time distinguishing them. I'm gonna be honest
That's
with you.
okay. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm mainly going to talk about just the theatrical cut. But
sure.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know what you mean, though. But yeah,
I mean,
that is very odd.
it's so, but again, this is one of those so bad it's kind of good movies for me. I do think it is fun. Paul Rudd is fun in it. Donald Pleasance is kind of ruined. This is probably his worst movie
They don't use
that
them
he's
enough.
in. They don't use him enough. He had a much better send off in Revenge. But I don't super base my movies on Donald Pleasance. I know some people do. He's not who I'm there to watch, even though he was the star for a while
Yeah.
there. But that's not my thing. But yeah, it's again just one of those so bad it's good movies. It's a lot of half-cocked ideas, just a lot of half-cocked ideas.
Okay. I actually kind of enjoy Halloween 6. It's like I mentioned, it's one of those ones I watched a lot when I was younger because it was one of those ones they always had stocked at the video store. I know when they
Yeah.
had video stores, that was always one of the ones I watched. And of course, because I had Paul Rudd, I didn't really know who Paul Rudd at the time was when I was watching it, but even more so now, I'm like, I'm all about it. I like
It's
this
Paul
movie
Rudd.
with Paul Rudd. I think it's fine and fun in a way. If you can get over some of the Cult of Thorn stuff. I just like some of the characters. I could do without the baby through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think this is also a pretty brutal Michael Myers in this one. I don't mind the mask in it. Michael, man, he goes on a couple vicious killing sprees in this one.
This is the one with the syringes. This is the one where he kills people with the syringes, right?
I think that's 2. It's been a while
Anyways, go
since,
ahead.
but one of my favorite two of my favorite scenes is like the one towards the end when he has the massacre in like the operating room with the strobe light flashing and he's just
Yeah.
butchering everybody. That's a cool scene. And there's another one where I forget the name of I think her name was Karen. I'm not sure. Karen Strode. But the main lady in the movie, she's across in Paul Rudd's house and she's using like the one telescope because he's a peeping Tom pretty much in the
Yeah.
movie. She's looking across into her house and like her brother and his girlfriend were in there, fooling around. But she's like on the phone and in the background you see Michael just come in and start like just killing this girl. And I like the way that is done. It's kind of done very like slow motion-y. But there's a lot of blood in it. I feel like this is definitely the most 90s Halloween movie. It's so
Yeah.
grungy, I feel like. this is a typical like an early 90s movie, whereas H2O is a very clean late 90s kind of a Scream type horror movie.
Yeah, we're getting into Scream horror movie at that point.
Yeah, whereas this one is a very earlier 90s like grungy like feeling movie. It's definitely messy, I'll give you that. I can understand why people don't like it, but this one kind of has a little place in my heart. I find it entertaining. I think it's a fun little movie. A lot of cool kills. And Michael's pretty creepy in it too.
I think in a vacuum it's okay. I think it gets more hate from me and probably most people is because it was the downfall of it. Like I mean it was coming down, but this was the cliff. This was the shit.
This was the resurrection kind of before resurrection, where it was like, what do we do now? It was like
exactly
maybe we're going into direct to video territory, and then fucking Jamie Lee Curtis, and then we're like, all right, it's been 20 years. Let's make another one. My number 9 was Halloween Ends. As we already talked about a little bit. If you haven't, go watch the review already. We're not going to talk about Halloween Ends anymore. We don't need to.
Yeah, I don't need to.
Number 8. What do you have, man?
I have Rob Zombies on this one.
Rob Zombies Halloween.
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 8 is Halloween Kills. We're going pretty much back to back with the second one in the trilogy and the third one in the trilogy.
Oof.
I put Halloween Kills just above Ends. Like I mentioned in our Halloween review, Ends review, Halloween Kills is like you mentioned, in a vacuum, it's a very fun slasher movie. This is probably, other than like maybe the Rob Zombie movies, this is probably the most brutal Michael Myers has been throughout the whole series. He's out here gouging people's eyes out right in front of the camera. He's killing all these firefighters coming out of the fire. Yeah,
I think the firefighter scene is one of the coolest Michael Myers scenes. I think how it's shot's very cool.
Yeah,
I think him coming out and just fucking people up. I'm just like, holy shit, this dude's serious right now. It's one of my favorite Halloween scenes.
Yeah. Now my only issues with this movie is the sloppy writing in it. It feels like it's a filler movie, like it's a middle part in a trilogy. It's very strung out. You didn't need the whole part in the middle with the other patient being mistaken for Michael Myers. Nobody believed, at least watching the movie, that was Michael Myers. Why would any of these people in that hospital and the mob think that was Michael? It just doesn't make any sense. I feel like if you would have taken that out and put some actual story in there, like with Laurie or Karen, kind of dealing with everything that's happened in the previous movie, you had it a little bit already, but if you would have kind of strung that out and made more of a story of it instead of just like the mob going out, evil dies tonight. The only part that redeems this and makes it a fun movie is because of is how much of a fun slasher movie it is with Michael. I think it's a very fast-paced movie. It's a quick watch for me, but it pretty much I'm only gonna watch it after I watch Halloween 2018 if I'm in the mood to just see Michael go on a huge killing spree some more.
I mean, I agree with all your points. I actually, and not to shit on Ends anymore, I think when this came out, I was like, oh my god, this is such middle movie syndrome.
Yeah.
I think Ends hurts it even more because now I feel like it's almost pointless.
Yeah,
I feel like it's a pointless movie
because it goes nowhere.
It doesn't seem like a middle movie at all, because in the original plan, which we talked about, it was going to be right after was, the same night.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would have made more sense. It would have been a great watch. Now I feel like Kills is a completely nothing movie.
Yeah, and I just like what you mentioned with Ends, I think it kind of just discredits Kills. It doesn't. It feels like it shouldn't even be there anymore.
Yep. It doesn't need to be there at this point. Literally, Halloween 2018 to Ends could be the same movie, basically.
Pretty much.
You need just the mom and the dad to die, and it's a perfectly fine movie from there.
Yeah, if they would have somehow killed Karen in Halloween 2018, you would have had just a direct continuation.
Just direct sequel. You don't need anything else from Ends. Or Kills. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm with you though. I think it's some of the best kills in the series. That's pretty much all my notes. I mean, it needed more Laurie, but
has some cool stuff in it. Like, I feel like one of my biggest things about it is what everybody liked was like, I like the characters of Big John and Little John living in the Myers house. I feel like those are cool fucking characters, and I would have liked to see a little bit more of them.
I like how they die too. I think they have cool deaths.
Yeah, and most of the movie is just Michael going around just slashing people. He's not being like the kind of menacing, stalkerish type. He's just going out here and just doing whatever he wants.
He doesn't seem like he has a plan. There's no point to this. He's just wandering.
It's just Michael getting revenge. He's pissed off in this movie. He's going berserk But
Mhm.
other than that, there really isn't much to it. There's not much story. It's a very I don't know. It's just a flat movie. Other than just the kills, like
Yep.
that's pretty much why I would watch it. Is just go in, have just a fun slasher night.
And that's why when we move to my number 7, it's my 7 because it's not much
Oh,
higher.
you got number 7.
At
Okay,
7, yeah, we're at 7 now, and that's my 7. It didn't get much higher.
okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
same thing, flat.
yeah, not much to say about it. I mean, if anybody wants more thoughts on it, go watch our Halloween Kills review. We did a review of that whenever it came out. My number 7 is one we already talked about, Halloween 6.
Okay.
So I have that at number 7. So I have it just a little bit higher than you there.
Yeah, not too far.
What do you
I
have at number 6 here, Alex?
I have Return at number 6.
The Return of like number
The
is it
Return
Halloween
number
4?
4. Yeah,
Okay.
Return of
Oh,
Michael Myers
okay. You
number
got that a
4.
little low. Okay.
Yeah, this is the point where I feel like this starts kind of losing it. I mean, obviously this is backlash to Season of the Witch, where they're like, "Oh fuck, we need to get Michael Myers back into it." But I just don't like. I don't know. This is where again it starts to go downhill.
Yeah.
I do have it a little higher. I think it's got an awesome ending. I wish they would have ended it and continued there. I like Jamie's character. If you're okay with the family thing, like, because I know some people are like, no, I don't want them being family. Some people, I'm
Yeah.
personally okay with them being family members. I'm cool with the Jamie character. I kind of like it. And this one's not that bad for me. I kind of like this one, but some other ones are kind of higher.
Okay. I really like Halloween 4. The only thing I think it's a decent continuation. Like they didn't have to go back to the Michael Myers story after Halloween 3. They were kind
Yeah,
of forced to from the
yeah,
fans. But I think this was the best way to go about it, like the way that they did. I love the opening to the movie, just that like very October fall feel
mm,
that you get, where just the quiet breeze and like the trees with the leaves falling. It's a very fall feel to it. It's a great opening to it. The only real complaints I have about it is the way Michael Myers looks. He has like these huge shoulder pads. His mask is all like stretched weird. It's a terrible mask. One of the worst ones in the series.
I actually, and well, again, I kind of like the mask. I
Really?
like how emotionalist the mask looks. I love one of my favorite scenes is when I mean, it's a dream sequence, so it's kind of cheap, but he comes out from under the bed in the
Yeah.
mask. Like, I think that mask is really effective there because it just
Yeah.
looks so emotional. I'm with you. I know it's a bad mask, but I got a soft spot
I
for
think
it.
if they were able to use the original mask, it would have worked. It would have been a great movie in my
Uh,
eyes. I think it would have worked a lot better. Which is,
yeah.
I don't know why they couldn't use the original one. I think it was because the original mask was so deteriorated at that point, but I'm not sure why they just couldn't make another one like they
Yeah,
would nowadays.
they have movies. They can't like have artists do it. Like you can just watch the movie. Like,
I
we need to
remember
do that.
reading about they went to get the original one, but the original one was like all tore up and it had like stains on all over it because I think Deborah Hill, who kept it at that time, was a smoker and it all turned yellow and gross and
Yeah.
shit. But I don't know. But they used the original mask on the cover of the movie, like the poster for the movie and like the VHS and everything. So it's so weird why they would use the original mask for like the posters and everything, but
Yeah.
then have a weird mask in the movie. It's odd.
That's a
Um,
weird one, yeah.
but I really enjoy it. I like the characters in it. The characters are likable. I like Rachel and Jamie. Even the douche kind of boyfriend in it. I forget his name at this point, but
Yeah.
he's a decent character in it. You also get the new sheriff. That's pretty cool, Sheriff Meeker. But I think it's a pretty solid Halloween movie in my opinion. And my highlight of the movie is probably like them crawling around on that roof when he
Yeah.
chases them up on that roof and they're sliding down and everything.
I think, and not to, 6 is pretty high. It almost cracked top 5 for me. But I think, again, those 3 middle movies, and I kind of said it because we've mentioned them all now, are just very mid to me.
Yeah.
And it is the best of those, but I just feel like they're all very formulaic. Those are the 3 that not all that I miss the most, but are the ones I like, because I do like those 3. I just miss them the most out of the 3 I like,
Hmm.
out of the movies I like.
Yeah.
So,
I liked Loomis in it.
yeah.
He's pretty decent. I like that scene with him and like the old dude that picks him up in the truck, where he's like, "You're looking for him, ain't you?"
You're hunting it all right. Just like me.
What are you hunting, Mr. Sam?
Apocalypse, end of the world, Armageddon. It's always got a face and a name.
He thought he was talking about like Michael. He's like, "You're looking for
Yeah.
him, ain't you?" But I like that scene. The beginning of it, other than like the opening credits, but I like the scene where like the doctors go and pick Michael up at that like weird like asylum type thing where he's in the coma from his
Yeah.
burns and everything, but it's like pouring rain and they're playing the classic Halloween theme as they're rolling him out into the ambulance and everything. I like how they set the tone, and it goes right into that scene where you mentioned with Jamie, where it's kind of like that dream sequence
Yeah.
where he
like,
comes out from under the bed, and then when she goes and runs to the door and opens it up, he's standing there. But I actually really like that scene though, that opening.
I see. I'm more negative, I guess, because there's just like I don't like, and we brought it up multiple times on my list, but like it again ruins a pretty good ending. I think the Loomis and the Michael death in the second one were
See,
good.
you're thinking about it. You're thinking about it too much. Then at that point, you're like,
It was
this totally
good.
ruins the second one. The second
It
was
just
so
ruined-
good.
It ruins it for me.
That's I'm at the point now where like when I watch them, I don't even think about the continuity unless I'm watching
Oh.
like 4 and 5 like directly,
Yeah.
like with Jamie. Like when I'm watching 4, I'm not even thinking about 2 and
What's
1.
coming? What's coming up?
I'm not thinking about what's coming up or what already happened in the past, like about like Michael and Loomis burning up in the fire. I'm not even thinking about that. Just like if I
Fair.
watch Halloween 6, I'm not thinking about any of these other ones. I'm watching pretty much standalone movies at this point.
Fair enough. That's fair enough.
So moving on, we got what was the next one? 6.
You were on, I just did 6
was
returns.
6?
You're 6, yeah.
My 6 here is Halloween H2O, 1998. Like I mentioned before, after Halloween 6, it didn't do well. It didn't bomb, but it didn't do well. So it was kind of like they didn't know what direction to take us in. They was kind of leaning towards direct to video at that point. Like a lot of the other kind of slasher franchises were kind of trailing off at that point. We were going into the late 90s horror
slashers
boom.
were out of it.
Yeah, we're getting into like the Scream meta territory and some of the other stuff, and then you're getting into like the 2000s horror.
Yeah.
But H2O is pretty much a product because Scream was a thing at that point.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This movie is probably one of the safest Halloweens that you can watch. I have it at 6 because it's not exactly the best one, but it's not exactly the worst one. I would say it's a mid movie as well. The masks, they use like 4 masks in it that are all terrible. One's a CGI one, which is god awful. I really, really like the opening in this movie with like the nurse. She makes another comeback in this movie. They decide to bring her back a couple times. You also get a super young Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's in the beginning of it. He gets killed. I really like that opening. I think it's creepy with like her walking throughout her house, which was broken into, and you have like the door kind of open in the background, him walking across. But of course, you have like the story. You get Josh Hartnett and Jamie Lee Curtis. She's been hiding out all these years. She's like a principal of like a private school out in California.
Which is kind
LL
of
Cool
funny
J's
because
there.
that's where it was shot.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of like a meta reference again because of the Scream, like because that's originally where Haddonfield was.
yeah. That people always make fun of like the original Halloween because it's supposed to be set in Illinois, but there's palm trees.
Yeah.
and he's like, oh, it doesn't make any. I don't think there's palm trees in
I thought it was
Illinois.
palm trees. This one gets. Let me put my nostalgia glasses on. This one gets some rose-colored glasses for me. It was my first Halloween. This is
Okay.
the one that I mean, I feel like saw other ones, but this is the one I really remember. Like people being excited around me. I was young. I mean, what were we like 6, 7?
It
when this
was
came out?
huge.
Yeah, but
it was
I
the
remember-
resurgence of Halloween because
Yeah,
Jamie
and-
Lee was coming back.
Jamie Lee, and I just remember being like, "What is this?" And I had a neighbor who actually let me watch it. I'm sure my mom didn't, but I remember a neighbor let me watch this movie, and I was scared, of course.
Mhm.
So it's got some nostalgia glasses for me. I love the shot where the doors between them, and it's Michael and her staring at each
Through
other.
the glass, yeah.
I know that's like an iconic. I love that shot.
Mhm.
I love this ending. I think this ending is probably one of the most satisfying Halloween endings, where she
Yeah.
finally fucking gets him.
I
Gets
agree.
to chop his head off. I love that. And I think this is the most realistic portrayal of what Laurie would be if that did happen to her. It's like
Having
she's
nightmares.
yeah, she's having nightmares. She's an alcoholic, and
yeah.
like I feel like most people would probably react like that. So I like that too. All your
Yeah.
complaints are definitely valid, but I got some rose-colored glasses on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. It's a fun movie. I think
It's
there's
safe.
a couple things that doesn't help it other than the mask. The score in it is terrible. They use some kind of like how the Scream movie is with like kind of like an orchestral type
Mm.
score. It just doesn't fit with a Halloween movie. You have to have kind of a spooky atmospheric type Halloween score. And it just doesn't do it, and it doesn't make it scary. I feel like this Halloween isn't really a scary Halloween to me. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And I feel like a part of that has to do with some of the setting being in like California, and some of it's during the daytime, but like it's just not very, they don't really do much to give you tension in the movie, really.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know. I don't really know how to say it. It's just not, it's not a scary movie to me.
Oh, I'm with you. And Josh Hartnett, not that I don't like the man, but he's a douche. I mean, that's just his acting.
Comb
He's
your
just a
hair.
douche. He's just a douche. Like, that's just the kind of kid he is.
Yeah.
So, like, he's not easy to root for.
Yeah, and like I said, this is a product of Scream, so I believe it was the same composer that did Scream, so that's why the scores are very similar. I think a
Yeah.
couple of the writers were on it, and of course, Dimension Films, who made Scream, produced this one as well. So there's a lot of, you know, connections between Scream and this one, and I definitely think it's one of the more safest Halloweens out of them all.
Yeah.
Like you said, the ending is fantastic. It's one of the best endings you're going to get in the series. The beginning is really good. There's a couple parts throughout that are okay. I would say one of my favorite deaths is like whenever he has like the chick hanging from like the
dumbwaiter. Oh.
Yeah, it's the chick that had her leg broken in the dumbwaiter, but he like
Yeah.
hangs her up by the light bulb, and the bulb is like strung around her neck and stuff, and her like guts are hanging out and shit.
Yeah, it's stuffed in. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that kill. But yeah, it doesn't really do much for me. It's every time I watch it, it's like, okay. I'd like it. I need to at least probably, if I'm watching some of the other ones, I got to rewatch H2O.
Yeah.
But overall, it's not as strong as what my top 5 are gonna be here.
Yeah, I mean, it is in my top 5. I mean, we'll get there. Obviously, I haven't talked about it yet, but again, mostly for rose-colored glasses. And I do like the fight scene between them in the end. I like that whole cat and mouse they do in the end. I think that's pretty well shot,
I
pretty
get
well done.
chills every time whenever she puts Josh Hartnett and his girlfriend, which the chick from like Dawson's Creek, I'm pretty sure, I forget her name.
Right.
But she puts him in the car and she's like, well, aren't you coming with us? She's like, no, get out of here. And then she like lets him go, and then she kicks the fuck and grabs the axe out of it.
And she's
It gives me
screaming
and
for
she's
him.
like, Michael, dude, it gives me chills thinking
Yeah.
about it. I love that scene, and it plays that Halloween theme. Like,
It's
I
just
love
a great
that shit.
build up. Yeah,
And she's looking for him, walking around. I was like, that is badass. This is what we should have had in Halloween Ends.
Yes, exactly.
Like, that's the
Yes.
type of shit I want.
Yeah, I want her hunting him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired of your shit.
Yeah, I
That's
love
why-
that part of Halloween H2O, though.
That's why it's tired. So what are we on? 5?
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna hurt your feelings here. I'm sorry. It's Season of the Witch for me. I know you love Season of the Witch.
Listen, my number 5 is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
All right.
we
Okay.
both got one right here.
Yeah,
both
there
got
we go.
matched.
I mean, it gets a pass for not having Michael in it for me personally. It is
Yeah.
a great Halloween film. Like Halloween film.
Yeah, like a Halloween time, like holiday
Yeah.
film.
It's a good scary film. It gets a pass because it wasn't marketed like that. I don't know why everybody was shocked. It's not like they marketed it like Ends,
Yeah.
where Ends is like it's the final battle. Like, no, it's not. It's not fucking lying to me.
That would have pissed people off so much more if they would have had Michael in these trailers for Halloween 3 and then
It's
just
just not
nothing.
there. Yeah, and now I wasn't alive when this came out, so I don't know, but I mean, they couldn't have marketed that like that.
No
you know?
way.
No
Yeah.
way. Like, they would have got sued or something. One of my favorite things, and I know it's a weird thing, is it's got one of the most catchy fucking songs. I sing the Silver Shamrock song all the fucking time. Middle of June, July, doesn't even have to be. I'm singing that Silver Shamrock song. Silver Shamrock.
Yeah, I just watched this this weekend, to be honest. Me and Annette watched it. It's one of my ones I watch every year around Halloween time. Tom Atkins rules, man. I fucking love
Yeah.
Tom Atkins. This movie is, like I said about the other ones, this is the opposite. This one grows on me every time I watch it. I used to hate this movie when I was a kid, just because, like everybody else, there's no Michael Myers in it. Why am I watching
fuck
it?
is
I remember
Michael Myers?
watching it on AMC, fucking waiting for Michael Myers, and he never came other than like they show it on TV, Halloween,
yeah.
the Halloween movie.
I gotta imagine you were sitting there, like, when they're talking about, like, Stonehenge and all the crazy shit that goes on in the end. You're like, is he gonna come still?
Well,
Like,
I remember
where does he
watching.
fit
I
in?
remember getting like halfway through, and my dad's like, "Well, what are you watching?" I was like, "Halloween 3." But I haven't seen Michael yet. He's like, "Well, Michael isn't in this one." I was like, "What? What
Fuck
do you
this
mean?"
Turn
And I
it off.
remember not watching the rest of it at that point. I was like, "I'm not watching. I already wasted my time watching the first half." But going back and rewatching it, man, it's grown on me quite a bit. I got that poster up over here signed by Tom Atkins,
Yeah.
and the other chick that's in there. But I love it, man. I love the
I'm with you.
music in it. It's got. I don't think Carpenter did the music. He produced the movie and everything, but this movie, the score in it is straight Carpenter, pretty much.
Yeah.
It has a great score to it. It's well paced. Has a lot of crazy kills in it too.
Oh, kid
Like-
kills. A lot of kid kills.
There's kid kills in it, but the
There's
one
some
dude
kid
gets his
kills.
head ripped off. The one he gets his like eye, his bone or in his nose like pulled out. The one chick gets her like mouth blasted open with that like the ray from like the chip in the masks and everything. It's got some cool kills and some cool ideas.
It's
The
a
bad
wild
yeah in
movie.
it is awesome.
Oh, yeah, he
Colonel
is.
Cochran. He's such a great presence in the movie, and he's such a great bad guy. I love this movie, to be honest.
Yeah, I like it. I don't quite watch it every Halloween. But it is a fun movie that I do put on. I would say at least every other Halloween.
Yeah.
This is a Halloween movie I will watch outside of Halloween even. Like I don't even need the season to be around. I do think it's just a
Yeah.
fun. It's almost sci-fi. Like it's a
Kind
little
of.
weird.
Yeah,
it's a little
because like they're
sci-fi in there.
robots, like the
Yeah.
G-men that are with them. I guess like the dudes
Yeah.
in the suits.
It's a crazy ass movie. That's a good time. It's a crazy
Yeah.
ass good time.
It should have just been called Season of the Witch, and it probably would have done fantastic.
Would have did much better. Much better.
Much better. But
Um,
I love Halloween 3 though.
And this is getting sidetracked. Tell me, isn't there a movie, and what movie is it where Michael Myers stabs a chick with a shotgun?
That's
Is that
4.
5? 4? Okay.
4.
See, that's one of my favorite kills too.
Yeah, because he's like sitting in that chair. She thinks he's the one like cop that's guarding the house, and he just
Yeah.
stands up with it and he just stabs her straight through the stomach into the wall with the shotgun.
Yeah. I don't know why that popped up. You were talking about good kills.
One of my favorite parts in 3 though that I love it every single time. Whenever they capture Tom Atkins and they have him tied up in that room and they put the mask on him and they're gonna make him watch like the commercial when it comes on and the bugs and everything.
Yeah.
But as Cochran's explaining the plan and everything, Halloween comes on the TV, like the movie Halloween,
hmm
and it's playing. It's at the part where Laurie's walking across the street to the other house, and it's playing like one of the Halloween, not the Halloween theme itself, but I think it's like Laurie's theme or something.
Yeah.
But then that theme turns into the score for the scene of that movie of Halloween 3, where
Right.
Cochran's talking, explaining the plan.
Happy Halloween.
And it gives you that sense of just eeriness and dread while it's playing like that original like Halloween theme, like score
That's
over
cool.
top of him while he's talking and explaining the whole evil plan. And even when he leaves the room, it's still playing. And I just
Yeah.
love the transition, how it goes from like just the TV audio into the actual score for that scene.
I don't know if I've ever noticed that. I'll have to pay attention next time.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm getting chills thinking about it. Like it was just so well done. Like I feel like it's not a thing that a lot of people would even like think about,
Yeah, I never noticed it. It is a fun movie. And I know I said Stonehenge. I actually have no idea if it has anything to do with
Oh, it's
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge.
Yeah, I
he
just
took
remember like
a
those
piece
things
of
in
that.
the middle.
Yeah, he took a huge big ass thing of Stonehenge.
Yeah.
I still have no idea like why it does what it does or anything. It's just the power in Stonehenge.
It's not important even, yeah. It's just not important. It just does it.
But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Is this the only Halloween movie other until the remakes that kids get killed? None of them in the originals, right? It's at least got to be the first.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
'Cause-
think so. I mean, he tries to kill the Jamie in the in 4 and 5, but he doesn't kill her. So yeah, I mean, I think so.
I remember reading things that there was a big backlash to this movie because there was like kids dying, and that was like a big no-no back in Hollywood back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
Yeah.
even like someone like killed them either. They just put a mask
They
on
just
and
died.
bugs came out of their mouth and out of their face and everything.
Yeah, they didn't die. They're fine.
I have a more if I was parents, I would have more of a problem with Halloween Ends, that kid falling off the fucking
Oh yeah, way more
down
of a
those
problem.
stairs. And
Yeah. All right, number 4.
Number 4.
We already talked about it, but I have H2O at number 4. Like I said,
Okay.
rose-colored glasses on for me.
All right. We already talked about my number 4 as well, which is Halloween 4. I have Halloween
Oh.
4 at my number 4 there from 1988. So
All
we're
right,
getting
not too much far. I'm only 2 spots ahead of you there.
yeah, now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty because there's 3 movies here that we haven't talked about at all. None
Yeah, I
of them. And we
figured.
have the same top 3, it seems. It's just a matter of what order they in. It's going to be a little interesting here. So what's your now number 2 and 3 I had the hardest time with, to be honest. And to be honest, they could probably flip-flop at any given day that you ask me.
Just because you bring it up, the hardest for me was, and I know it sounds weird, but number 7 and number 8, Halloween Kills and Rob Zombie. I couldn't decide what I liked more.
See, I get more enjoyment out of watching Halloween Kills. I feel like that's a more fun of a movie. It's more entertaining. You have characters you actually kind of like throughout. Whereas Halloween, I don't really like any of these characters.
I think my biggest qualm was both movies I really like for the kills, and I think Halloween Kills in a vacuum, you wouldn't care about any of the characters because Laurie's gone, so I don't give a fuck about anybody else.
Hey, Big John and Little John take pretty much over everything from Rob Zombie's Halloween. I know, so I'm like for those dudes, and that's about it.
The returning characters
and the Michael. I just like the Michael in this universe more too. And how brutal he is in it.
It beat it. And again, it has one of the best, not best kills, but one of the best shit kills where he hits the gun and it comes back and hits and shoots the dude's head.
Yeah, that's probably one of the dumbest kills. But yeah, I understand. Yeah,
it is an oh shit moment. You're like, what the fuck?
Well, we were on number 3 though. What would you have for number 3?
I have 2018.
Halloween 2018. See, I did not have that as my number 3.
I didn't think you would.
But 2018, I definitely agree with you as it could be a top 3. It's one of my favorite Halloween. I mean, our top 3 we have the same top 3, just in different order. So we obviously love these top 3. I adore Halloween 2018. It blew my socks off. It was way better than I really expected it to be when it was initially released.
Oh, I agree. When we went and saw it blew my socks off too. I thought it was great. It's got some plot holes, not holes. The doctor is awful in it. It's an awfully written character.
That's the only downfall of the movie is that part whenever he runs over Hawkins, where he stabs Hawkins. Yeah. And he takes the Michael Myers mask and puts it on, and he purposely, awful. And I think that's the only reason why they did it is because they needed a way to get Michael from Haddonfield to Laurie's house.
That was a bad way, though.
It was a bad way because that's the only part that I have a problem with.
Also, if you watch it, there's just some characters that are introduced that are just gone by like they're not killed, they're just gone by the third half. The boyfriend is a prime example. He's in that scene and then he's gone, and you never see him for the rest of the movie. I know they bring him back in the second one.
He comes back through kills.
Yeah, but I'm like, where did this guy go? Where's he been for the last 40 minutes of this movie? The doctor has one of the best deaths in the film, though.
Oh yeah, he gets his head squashed like a grape.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I think he has the doctor's some of the weakest parts of the movie.
I think it's written poorly. The whole movie, I think, is kind of written poorly.
I, for the most part, don't have a problem with the writing. As far as the characters, one of the most useless characters in the whole trilogy is that sheriff.
For sure.
The dude with the black dude with the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
He doesn't do a goddamn thing through all these movies. He's in there for one scene in each movie, and that's it. This dude doesn't do shit. I don't even know how he's sheriff anymore. He should have been fired by ends, dude.
Give it to the other guy.
Yeah, Hawkins should have been the sheriff at that point. Come on now. He got run over and stabbed in the neck. He paid his dues.
Now let's gush, though, because there are tons to like about this movie. I think Laurie is awesome.
Badass.
Love the Sarah Connor-esque Laurie you get. Love the whole ending scene in this movie. I think it's one of the best scenes in any Halloween film. It's so good. The whole fight between them.
And you're still getting some of that trauma that worked well with H2O. She still has a problem with alcohol because she goes to the prison and sees, because she knows Michael's being moved to another facility that night. She goes there to watch the bus go out, and she's sitting there drinking those little bottles of liquor. But I love that scene because she's just sitting there going through it, and she starts screaming, and it cuts to a side view, and you see a silhouette of Michael kind of walking towards her car, and then it cuts to another scene, which is her going to that restaurant and kind of
drunk them.
inviting herself to that restaurant with her family, and just saying she's drunk, and she's like, I saw him, I saw the shape and everything. And I was like, I loved how she even said it was the shape. It wasn't even Michael. She called him by the shape. And I love the how they introduce the trauma into it, but they also make her a badass warrior, how she prepared for this since for 40 years now.
Yeah, for 40 years now she's been doing this.
Yeah, and this easily has the best score by John Carpenter out of the trilogy, in my opinion. I think
Out
this
of the
is
trilogy.
the
Yeah,
best one.
yeah. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say out of Halloween. I was like, whoa.
Oh no, out of
Whoa.
this trilogy, I would say this is the
for
best
sure.
score from John Carpenter, just all around. So, and mainly like the shape hunts Allison. Like that's probably one of my favorite Halloween tracks in general, and it has one of the best scenes in my opinion out of the series is the motion light. Whenever the kid's like in the backyard and that light goes and like Michael's standing there to the side, it goes off and then it comes back on and he's like right next to him and then it goes off again and you get that jump scare where he attacks him.
Yeah, that's the kid he pins up, right? Like on the
his
fence.
His chin goes through the post and the fence. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. But yeah, when Allison comes back and she finds him and Michael's there, it plays like that dope ass Shape Hunts Allison score where it's like they use like a violin bow across an electric guitar and it makes like this deep like sound and it's fucking awesome, man. And I wish that scene would have got drawn on a little longer where he's actually chasing her because it kind of ends pretty quick and they don't use that score at all through the rest of the movie or through any of the other sequels, which man, I wish they would have brought that back at some point.
We gotta buy you the album, man. We gotta buy you the
I was thinking about it, man.
Yeah.
But I love the score in this one.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Top 3 for me, third, but like it is a fantastic film, fantastic follow-up. If this movie didn't already have a sequel, it would be higher for me, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I think what works about this movie is it's a great standalone movie.
Oh yeah,
like it ends. You can end it right there with him being trapped in the basement. They lock him in. They lit the house on fire.
Yep.
It's a great ending to go out on. They escape. Laurie lives. Everything's good.
It's got to be probably. I mean, it's up there with the H2O endings because that's what we want to see. We want to see Laurie get her thing, her up and comings, or not. You want to see him get his up and comings, but
yeah, and it's a great third act too. They did a great job with the house, which is like booby trapped kind of. She has like the shutters. Yeah, the mannequin. She has the shutters going down in front of the doors to lock people in if they're in there.
Yeah.
Some of just the mirroring scenes from the original Halloween where she gets thrown off the balcony and when he looks over, she's gone instead of Michael. And it was like, I love that shit. And whenever they are about to push him into that cellar, you get kind of a mirroring thing from the original Halloween as well, where in the original it was Michael, where she was leaning up against the wall and you see Michael's face kind of get lit behind her before he stabs her. And this one, it's the same thing where Laurie's behind him and the light goes on her face and she's like, "Happy Halloween, Michael." And then it still should have been "Trick or Treat, motherfucker." Every time I'm going to say, it should have been "Trick or Treat, motherfucker." And they fucking stab him or push him into the... They needed to use it. It's still a great line. They should have used it at some point.
It's a classic.
And I feel like it would have worked like if Jamie Lee Curtis would have said it in this serious type of tone instead of a karate chopping, kung fu kicking Busta Rhymes. But I just love that whole final scene within the house and the whole cat and mouse type aspect of it. It's great.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Halloween 2 from 1981, the original Halloween 2. I had such a hard time deciding between this one and Halloween 2018, man. I really did. Because Halloween 2 was my second favorite Halloween for the longest time, up until Halloween 2018 came out. Some people shit on this movie for good reason, because it probably shouldn't have happened. John Carpenter famously...
Didn't want to do it, I know.
Didn't want to do it. He sat down over a course of like 2 nights with a 6-pack or like a case of beer, and he just got drunk and wrote the script for this movie. And that's where you get things like Michael being Laurie's brother out of nowhere, and a couple other these things. Like, I get it. It works for me, and I just love the way how they use the same cinematographer. They brought Dean Cundy back to make it look and feel just like the original. Is direct continuation from the same night, which I love that aspect as well. And I just, whenever I watch the first one, I gotta watch that second one. Because they go through so seamlessly.
I have it written in my notes that it is it's the first horror movie I remember, but it might even be the first horror movie where it is back to back, like it is a swish straight through. And I always love that. It's
one of my first horror movies I think I've ever seen too. For some reason I've seen Halloween 2. I saw Halloween 2 before I saw the first Halloween.
I probably did too.
But it's definitely one of the first horror movies I saw. Especially it's the first Halloween movie I saw. But I just love how creepy it is. It's so very atmospheric. It's so dark in certain places. I love even though it's not really realistic, you have an empty ass hospital, which is Michael roaming around, and it's so creepy. And I just remember that kind of how Jaws ruins people from the beaches for a little bit. When I was younger, it ruined hospitals for me for a little bit because I kept imagining Michael Myers walking down the hospital hallways and shit.
It's got one of my favorite kills when he drowns that nurse in like the liquid. Love that kill.
In the hot tub, yeah.
Yeah.
Her face is blistering.
Bleeding and he keeps pulling her. Oh yeah. Awesome kill.
And that like the music that's playing during that, it's like a thumping, and it kind of goes with her heart rate like as the whole time while it's going. It's great, man. And like the scenes of him and the security monitors just walking around the hospital and down the stairs is very creepy. And I just love how it was done.
There's just some imagery that stuck with me to this day, like when his eyes get pierced and the blood's coming down.
Oh yeah,
like and it's coming down. I love when he gets caught on fire and he comes just walking out on fire. Just you're just like, holy shit, this dude's the Terminator right now. You know, it was really when they made him like, holy shit, this guy can survive.
Walking through the glass, like walking through that front door, just walk straight through the glass before Loomis shoots him.
One of people's biggest complaints is Laurie isn't involved enough, and I do get it, but at least it makes sense why she's not involved in this one. She was damaged, you know, like, and it makes sense in Halloween Ends too, but at that point we just want to see her because she's this badass. This one she's just a teenager.
Kills.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I get what you mean, but I mean, at least in this one, he actually goes to the hospital though to get her,
exactly.
and she's running from him. Yeah,
she's in it, you know.
Yeah.
I think Loomis is awesome in this one. This is some of my favorite Loomis. So no, I love Halloween 2. I'm with you, man.
Loomis, he's badass in that scene. Like whenever he's with the nurse again, and she's telling him like, oh, they had a secret file they had hidden away about Michael being her brother and everything, and then he's like, we gotta turn around, go to the hospital now, and the cops that's driving the car is like, I can't do that. And he's like, what do they do? It's supposed to fire a warning shot, and he just shoots the window right next to him, and then you just see the car just whip around.
I don't mind the sibling thing, dude. I mean,
I don't either, really.
Yeah, especially this movie. This movie, it's definitely fine. I mean, I know it goes off the rails later, but I don't mind it personally. It's not really like a thing that hurts me.
No, it's just, you know how it is. It's like kind of a cop out at this point. I mean, at that time, it might not have been because it wasn't. I feel like that wasn't a huge twist. Like it wasn't a common twist like it is now, where everybody's like, oh, it's their brother, or it's their father, or something like that. I feel like at that time it probably worked a lot better. Where now, when you look back, it's like, probably maybe you shouldn't have done that, because Michael Myers is more scarier whenever he doesn't have a motive. He's just a dude walking around just killing anybody.
I think it kept Laurie in the film because it wouldn't have made much sense to have her back in it without it. And again, I hate shit on Halloween Ends, but it's one of those things that like I compare it to Halloween Ends, where like they're like, no, he is just this killer, but now he's still after Laurie, and it doesn't make as much sense anymore. You're like, okay, well, does he or doesn't he want her? So I don't mind the sibling thing. The sibling thing doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Michael, some people complain about how Michael, it looks like he's like a robot in this one, because he's very stiff and he walks like a robot, which I don't really have much problem with that. The hilarious part of the movie is whenever they mistake Ben Tramer for Michael, and he has like the blonde Michael Myers mask, and he's like walking across the street, and the cop hits him into the truck, and it just blows up into a ball of flames.
Poor Ben Tramer. He's the unspoken loved Ben Tramer.
And they have to go like get his dental records analyzed to see if it is Michael or not. But yeah, this whole movie is like the first half of this movie, when you see Loomis, it's just him telling every person he meets that he shot Michael 6 times. I shot him 6 times.
6 times.
Every single time, man. And I saw someone post on Twitter the other day, people are just noticing this. I don't know if you noticed this, but there's actually, you find out earlier in the movie how Loomis gets the lighter at the end, whenever he fucking blows the hospital up. Whenever they go to the house, wherever they, like with Sheriff Brackett, where they're pulling his daughter out from the first movie and everything, the one cop asks him like if he wants a smoke. The cop lights his own cigarette and hands him the lighter. and Loomis never lights a cigarette. He just pockets the lighter. But later in the movie, but it's just something that you wouldn't even notice, man. But like after watching it so many times, you notice it.
That's good directing, though. I mean, that's such a throwaway scene. The John Carpenter was like, nope, we need it. We need that scene.
But yeah, I really like Halloween 2. I love the chase there. I know Laurie isn't in it much, but man, that chase where she's wounded, just limping around the hospital, where him following her is great. The introduction of that scene, like right at the beginning of the chase, is great, where the nurse finds her and Michael just steps out of the shadows and just lifts her up off her, like with just a scalpel, just picks her up off the ground and her heels drop. It's a great scene, man. I love it.
Yeah. Halloween 2 is one of my favorite. What do we want? Number 2?
That's the one. Before we move on, that's the one with the needle that you mentioned, though.
Oh yeah.
Wherever I love that scene because it's very similar to the original, where that chick goes into the office and finds the doctor dead with a needle in his eye. Yeah. And you see Michael's mask just kind of light up behind her, and that's where he grabs her and sticks the needle in like the side of her head and shit.
I think this one, speaking of similar shots, I think this one is the most cohesive. Like, this one feels like another John Carpenter film to me.
And I know it's probably the closest to the original in tone.
Yeah. In tone, in kind of pace, which we'll get there, but pacing is something a lot. I think this is paced better than the first one. I think it moves brisker. I'm not saying that's better or good. That's not what I'm saying. I just think it moves quicker while still keeping the slower pace to it.
And I think what helps with that is what sequels tend to do, which is upping the kill count, making it a little bit more scary. They add a little bit more flair to sequels. Like, there's a little bit more to them. There's a little bit more blood in it. There's a little bit more gore. There's a little bit more scares in it. So I think that helps with it as well. But the music is great in it. It's a little bit more synthy than the original Halloween, but I think with the different tone to it, I think it matches it perfectly, though.
For sure. All right, we are on number 2.
Yep.
I'm gonna assume we just swapped. I have Halloween 2.
Yep, and I have Halloween 2018.
Wouldn't it be crazy if I just said Halloween 1 right now? I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh! And then Halloween 2018 or Halloween 2 is your favorite?
Yeah, Halloween 2 is probably the one I have seen the most. But number 1, it's got to be. We agree here. 1978's John Carpenter's Halloween. It is the one that started it all.
Yeah.
It is the golden child. It is what I imagine slashers to be for a very long time.
Yeah, in my eyes, it's the perfect horror movie.
It's up there for me.
This is my favorite horror movie of all time. Halloween will always be my favorite horror movie of all time. It's the one I originally fell in love with. Even though Halloween 2 was the first one that I watched within the series, immediately watching Halloween 1, I was hooked, man. I fucking love it. And it's one of those movies that I can just watch pretty much any time. I don't have to watch it in Halloween, around the fall or Halloween time. See, I'm kind of the opposite. I feel like maybe it's just because I love it so much. I feel like it's paced perfectly, like for the hour and a half. I feel like you get to settle in, get to know some of these characters. You get the feel of like Laurie and Annie and Linda. You get Loomis and his kind of story. I love it, man. This is the perfect horror movie for me.
I'm with you. I mean, I say about pacing, not because I care about the pacing. I'm cooler with a slow-paced movie, but going back to it, you can definitely tell it's an older movie. It's paced like an older movie. I'm cool with that. I don't care. I watch black and white films all the time. Pacing's not an issue for me.
Yeah.
But I could see, I would worry if I showed this to my children, which not my both children, but my, I have a 12-year-old. He can watch it. I don't know if he'd make it the whole way through. Not yet. I think I'd have to introduce him more to Michael Myers and then bring him back to it. I don't know if he'd sit the whole way. I think he'd get too bored with it. But I don't want to get too negative on it. This is number 1 for a reason. The score is fantastic.
Oh yeah. One of the best scores in horror movie history.
This is the one I watch every year. I watch this film every year on Halloween. I know you used to do a build up, right? Like you'd watch a bunch of them.
I can't do it anymore, man. I used to. I mean, this year so far I've watched 4 and 5. I watched leading up to Ends. I watched 2018 and Kills. I watched Halloween 3 this weekend. I'm waiting for this weekend to watch Halloween 1 and 2, and then if I wanted to watch any of the other ones at that point.
I'll probably just do 1 and 2 this year, but I'm gonna wait till Halloween Day. I'll be watching 1, and then I'll watch 2 probably the next night. But yeah, I mean, what can we say about this movie that hasn't already been said
I know.
500 times, right?
You got the perfect protagonist and final girl with Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie
Yeah.
Strode. She's great
Yeah,
in it.
Likable. She's likable.
Very
That's
likable.
the hard part with Final Girls is that a lot of them aren't likable. Laurie's likable.
Yeah, you really get to settle in with her character. She's very innocent and she's very she feels like a real like high school teenager at that point. She may not have. She may have been in her 20s, but you know how it is in the movie industry. But
Yeah.
they feel like real characters in this time
Yeah.
and place. Even just like I love just the little goofy scenes in there, like her and Annie driving around, you know, smoking the joint in their car, listening to Don't Fear the Reaper, and then they pull up and she's like, "My dad," and they like roll the window. She's like, "She's gonna smell it. He's gonna," like, they're worrying about like and everything, and then you get the setup where Sheriff Brackett tells him like, "Oh, someone broke into the hardware store, just took a couple knives, a rope, and a Halloween mask. Like, it's all right. You know how it is, just kids." And like you always blame everything on kids.
I think it's also got one of the best kills where he pins the guy to the fucking cupboard.
Yeah, that's a great jump scare in itself. Where he coming out of that closet and stabs the dude.
The ghost one.
So many
Ghost is
iconic
awesome.
moments. Yeah. The ghost. Whenever I love the scene where it's so creepy where Tommy looks out the window and he's carrying Annie's body like around the house up through the front door and it's playing like the creepy music from, I think it was Thing from Another World on the TV.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to like the Halloween 3 thing that I said, where it's like they use the TV music as the score for that scene. Very similar to that one. But yeah, there's so many iconic moments in this, man. Especially the ending, as everybody knows, with like Loomis shooting him and him falling off and being gone, and you know the boogeyman's always out there. Evil doesn't die.
Just pans back on the street.
And then they go to the different locations throughout the movie.
We didn't bring it up, but this has had so much imitation that shot, that continuous shot of him going around the house and stuff. And
one of the greatest movie openings ever, probably.
Exactly. You know, like iconic shot, like so iconic that again movies have tried to reproduce this bunch and times, and I think the only one to ever come close is 2018's. But you know, but
Dean Cundey doing the cinematography with just the how he perfectly captured nighttime, like the blues and the darks throughout the whole movie. It was shot fucking phenomenal, man. John Carpenter, Dean Cundey, and everybody. And this movie was only made on like $300,000 or something budget, shoestring, and it made so much bank at that time, man. And for a good reason. It's one of the best made, one of the best horror movies ever made. There's really not much to say that hasn't been said all these years.
Go watch it if you haven't.
If you haven't, I don't know why you haven't.
Why are you watching this list if you haven't seen it?
Yeah. But I mean, there's a reason it's our number one. It's one of the best movies of all time, in my opinion. Not even just best horror movies. It's one of the best movies of all time, in my opinion. I love Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite horror movie, but it is definitely up there, top 5.
Yeah.
It's an iconic character. It's a character that still to this day is in every Halloween store. Every Halloween store.
Yeah.
Like while Jason and Freddy Krueger are iconic, they're just not as iconic as that singular mask, you know.
That mask, and even just people that never even seen Halloween
know exactly who that.
Well, that, and they know exactly the song, the theme song. They know exactly what that is. Even if they've never seen the movie, they know what it is. It's just, I don't know. It's just so iconic. Everything about it at this point.
Without it, I don't know if we would have the slasher genre we have today. We wouldn't have the Freddys or the Jasons.
We definitely wouldn't have, because the Jason, I mean,
was definitely
Sean Cunningham. He straight up said, like, the reason they made Friday the 13th was because of Halloween. They
saw that movie make money
in the woods.
Yep. They're like, let's do it. They said that made a ton of money. Let's do it differently. You know.
Exactly. And who would have thought just taking a Captain Kirk mask and like altering the eyes, painting it white, and everything. It could just make it so iconic. They were going to use a clown mask originally for Hall in this movie, and it wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have worked, I don't think.
Corey got the clown mask later.
They should have did that. They should have used the original mask they were going to use as Corey's mask. That would have been
I know
an
he's
Easter egg for people that like really would have like known about Halloween.
I know he's a scarecrow, but it looked like a clown to me.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It was like a clown.
But yeah, there's we can't say enough about Halloween, man. We could have a whole review just talking about the original Halloween, and I'm sure we will eventually.
We probably should, yeah.
But there's a reason. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Is there anything else that you would like to add to our Halloween worst to best ranking, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, everybody watching, just there's a lot of ups and downs in this film, but I think no matter what kind of horror movie you're into, one of these movies will speak to you. I think Halloween has been through the gambit of types of Halloween films there is,
There's something within this franchise for every fan of the horror fan base. There's something in here for everybody. If you're in a different mood for something, one of these movies has got it for you.
It's even the sci-fi element with Season of the Witch and stuff. I know you'll miss the Michael, but it's still a Halloween movie,
Exactly.
It's still got sci-fi. So I think we've talked about, I think it is one of the best franchises consistency wise. I think I can only think of one or two other franchises
other than Friday. And I don't.
Friday's lower than it to me.
Really?
It's Scream for me. I think Scream is consistency-wise the best franchise.
I can't agree with you there.
Sorry, that's
because I'm not a big fan of the Scream franchise, other than the original, Scream.
I just think they're all fine, but I think that's the point. They're all fine. There's not abysmal ones. I think they're all pretty good. They're all pretty good across the board.
Well, I mean, that's something we'll have to get to maybe next year. Next Halloween, we'll do another worst to best ranking.
Yeah, we can do that.
But yeah, like you said, this franchise has been one of my favorites for my whole life and will continue to be an important role in my life, as I'm sure there's going to be a lot more Halloweens throughout the future. We may not be getting one for another couple years here because I'm sure there's going to be a little lull, a little wait between wanting to reboot the franchise here after the trilogy ended. But I'm sure in the next 5-10 so years, me and you will be right back here redoing this whole ranking because there's going to be another 3 or 4 movies to add to this list.
Happily.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in during our Halloween Spooktacular this month. We put out a lot of reviews. I definitely I overworked myself, I think. I did more than I was expecting to do. But I had fun doing it, especially having you on here on the show. This isn't the last video of the month. I do have a very special one coming up on Halloween Day, hopefully, as long as everything works out. So everything that should be out on Halloween. I don't want to announce it quite yet, just in case. But it should be a very special one. But this is definitely a video I've been wanting to do here as of recently, because this is very different than the other kinds of reviews that we've done on the show.
Absolutely.
But I'm definitely looking forward to doing another here, worst to best, or just a ranking in general of some sort in the future. Maybe make this kind of a continuing part of the show.
Yeah, I'm on.
All right. Where can everybody find you here, Alex?
You can find me on Tap That. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere you can find my beautiful smiling face.
All right. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to go follow us on Twitter at CinemaTripViews. Make sure to go follow us wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a good review there. And until next time, we'll see everybody else later.